Takagi from Kyoto Cuisine Takagi. Thank you for your time today. So today, first let me explain how to make dashi. This stock is fundamental for Japanese-style meals. I'm going to cook a dish using dashi. Well, the ingredients are Japanese-dried kelp called Kombu. See, this is Kombu. And these are tuna flakes. With these ingredients, I'm going to make dashi today. For 2 liters of dashi, I'm using 20 grams of kombu and 40 grams of tuna flakes. First, I'm going to make kombu dashi, so use cold water. Some people wash off the kombu. This white powdery substance on the surface is not dirt. So if you're not comfortable with it, you can wipe it off, but at my restaurant, we don't do it. I'm going to boil the water at the end, which will clean it off. Okay, now for the temperature. Cook the water over high heat until it boils. After the water boils, let it simmer, keeping the temperature at around 80 degrees Celsius. Cooking textbooks suggest that kombu should be removed immediately after the water boils. However, you need to fully extract the dashi. Once you have the umami taste, you're going to add the tuna flakes. So with this size, I'm going to let it simmer for about 30 minutes. And this is one of the key points. For dashi, you might have heard of ichiban, which is first dashi, and niban, which is second dashi. What we use at home is already second dashi. At restaurants, first dashi is mainly used for clear soup. Second dashi is used for non-sweet steamed egg custard jelly, which I'm going to make today, and chicken and egg rice bowls. So I'm already showing you how to make second dashi. And now you can see the water is gently simmering and the color of the kombu is coming out. Here you always want to make sure the dashi has enough kombu flavor, and also check how it tastes. When it has a rich taste of kombu, let's move on to the next step. Let it simmer for about 30 minutes. This helps release a substantial amount of flavor. Now I'm going to remove the kombu strips. Alright, so after that, I'm going to boil the water. When the water comes to a boil, add the tuna flakes. At my restaurant, we use a little thick shavings of the dried tuna, and we always get it shaved like this. When thin Bonito flakes are used, they most likely float. In that case, you want to push them down with your chopsticks. Now let them cook in the boiling water for about 3 minutes. For the first dashi, you turn off the heat after putting in the tuna flakes. For the second dashi, you let the flakes cook until you have the feeling that the umami taste is allowed to come out completely. And now I'm going to strain it. So I usually put 2 strainers together and put a paper towel in between them so you can really strain out the dashi. Some people use cloths, but I prefer using a paper towel since you don't have to wash them, and I think it's a little bit more sanitary. We also use paper towels at my restaurant. Once the extraction looks like this, it's really well... You know you might want to get it, so it's very important that you extract sufficient dashi like this. If you make really good dashi, you can make really delicious Japanese food. When the dashi has a rich umami taste, you can reduce the amount of salt to be used, and yet the food's still tasty. So making dashi like this relates to the reduction of salt in your meals. Before straining the dashi, make sure to taste it and see if it has a nice rich taste. Yes, the taste is totally different from just the kombu dashi. If it leaves a nice aftertaste, it means it's done. Now I'm going to strain the dashi. And for the second dashi, you want to squeeze and push down on the flakes. You don't squeeze the first dashi out, but for the second dashi, you squeeze out every last bit of that dashi. Alright, now it's done. This is the extracted dashi. So today I'm going to cook a dashi using this dashi right here, which is fundamental for Japanese food. First thing I do in my kitchen every morning is to extract dashi from the ingredients. And then what I do next is I make happo-dashi with the extracted dashi. Happo-dashi can be used for everything, as the word happo implies happo-bijin, which means everybody's friend. For this happo-dashi, I'm adding 3 grams of salt, 15 milliliters of mirin, and 5 milliliters of light soy sauce. A tablespoon of mirin and a teaspoon of soy sauce into a cup makes 200 milliliters of dashi. I make preparations such as marinating vegetables with this dashi. Apart from that, there's a method of using a number of cups. What it means is how many cups of seasoning is to be used for how many cups of dashi. This is very helpful if you know it. For example, at my restaurant, for warm udon, we use 14 cups of udon dashi. 14 cups of dashi, 1 cup of mirin, and 1 cup of light soy sauce. In the summertime, we make somen, which are Japanese fine, thin noodles. We use 5 cups of dashi, 1 cup of mirin, a half cup of dark soy sauce, and a half cup of light soy sauce. In the same way that we make sauce for oyakodon, which are chicken egg rice bowls, what I'm doing next is Uma-dashi. We write it as Tasty-Dashi in Japanese characters. I'm going to make a gelatin-based Tasty-Dashi, a type of food that allows you to eat dashi. So I'm going to use 11 cups of Tasty-Dashi. And there we go, 11 cups. And 1 cup of mirin. So what's easy about this is for a small amount of food, you can use this small size ladle, or you can also use a regular spoon. For a large amount of food, you can use a large ladle. If you already know how many ladles to be used, you can make food very easily. We need a cup of light soy sauce. 11 to 1 to 1 is the ratio of the ingredients. And then the mirin goes inside, and you bring the dashi to a quick boil. There, just a boil like this is fine. Let it boil briefly and take it off. Yes, this can be used for many different types of food. Especially, you can pour tasty dashi over such food as egg tofu and sesame tofu. Today I'm going to make the dashi into a jelly. Now I'm putting this 250 milliliters of the tasty dashi and 10 grams of gelatin together. I've already prepared the gelatin. It will dissolve right away when I put in the hot dashi. Yeah, just like that. Pour it into a glass baking dish. When it's cooled down, it becomes like jelly, and I'm going to strain it and use it for the dish. So while the jelly cools, I'll prepare the ingredients which will go into the jelly. Today I've already marinated the scallops with salted rice malt for 30 minutes. These scallops can be eaten as sashimi, sliced raw. They've been marinated with liquid salted rice malt. The season of the vegetables that are growing outdoors right now is fava beans, cucumber, and tomatoes. Well, any combination of vegetables is possible for ingredients, but their color should be taken into account, and also their texture. So adding cucumbers gives an extra crunchy texture. Such texture can also be one of the key points to enjoy eating food. So let's cut the cucumber. Remove the skin that has that grassy smell. If the seeds are too watery, you might want to cut that part off. But this cucumber looks fine, so let's just use the whole thing. For homemade food, you could roughly chop it off, but when I'm at my restaurant, I cut it properly and straight. So let's put these dice pieces into the bowl. This is important work. I'm going to sprinkle salt on the cucumber. The salt absorbs the grassy tasting water and brings out the sweet flavors. I'm just going to put it aside here. And next, the fava beans and the scallops. The fava beans can be steamed, but because it's a lot of work to steam them at home, I'm going to fry them today. Adding a little bit of olive oil gives nice, better taste. Alright, now the scallops. It depends on your preference, but you can eat these raw. And now I'm going to add the fava beans. Fry the scallops until they become a little bit brown. Alright, well these ones are still a little bit raw, but that's fine. When the beans start cooking, add some dashi. When you put on a lid, they'll become cooked through right away. Alright. You can taste it and see if they're thoroughly cooked. Alright, now sprinkle on a little bit of salt. And since this is jelly made from gelatin, when it touches something hot, it's going to melt. So keep it cold. When the tomatoes have been peeled, and cut these peeled tomatoes into 4 pieces. And put them in the fridge. Alright, and let's finish with the jelly. This is the jelly that I mixed with the Tasty-Dashi earlier. It's pretty hard. 10 grams of gelatin is in 250 milliliters of the dashi. The cucumber I prepared a few minutes ago has been absorbing the salt and some of the water started to come out. So now we're going to wash it off. Remove that water. And we're going to remove the salt. And squeeze it like this. With just a little bit of extra effort like that, you can make it delicious. Now the jelly. It looks like jellied broth. So you want to put it in this strainer. Just like this. See, we're straining it. This recipe is created by my master chef. When I first saw it, I was really impressed with him. There, it becomes just like that. I'm using it as a dressing. And the scallops that I fried up earlier. A little bit bigger pieces will give you a satisfactory feeling when you eat them. I'm going to cut them into bigger pieces, and then the fava beans. And then the cucumber. I'm going to mix them up nice and well. And coat them really well with that dashi jelly. I get invited to many different countries to cook, and I often cook this dashi-based jelly dish. The purpose is I want people abroad to learn about this dashi and how delicious it is, and how well it goes with Japanese ingredients, so it's pretty easy to create variations, and a lot of people around the world really like this dish. Alright, now I'm going to put it on the plate. And here come some tomatoes. I'm going to put them around with the other ingredients. And as a final touch, I'm going to put on this leaf. It is not edible though. A touch of garnish can create a nice atmosphere of early summer.